I recently said on X, the everything app, that I was currently inventing new forms of bigotry, and this is an active, ongoing process. It's not something you get done in a single day or even in a single lifetime, man. If you're really about the bigotry for bigotry's sake, then it's a mission you take up your whole life. Not to people who are actually suffering in the world, but mostly for like really benign things is what I was aiming to do. I did ask for suggestions, but I figure it's only right that I give you the main one that I've come up with recently, which I was away this last weekend, and the B&B I had reminded me of something that a lot of B&Bs seem to have. Just generally hostile architecture, not in public, but in your own home, the place that you're supposed to be sleeping. I hate it when furniture is arranged either in like a place I'm staying temporarily or in a friend's house in a way that makes it very likely for me to hit it with a part of my body, like stubbing my toe. I got like hip checked by the corner of the bed that I was going to get some comfort out of, only to be getting large doses of pain instead. I think if you're the type of person who arranges furniture inconveniently for a human to exist within a room, then you are a bad person. Now, before we jump into the community-suggested bigotry, if you enjoy this video, this card at the end will take you to another one like it. Also, be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you never miss another upload. You had Midas OW2, always in somebody's replies, this guy. Storytime YouTubers? I'm sorry, man, you're gonna need to be a little more specific than that. If I catch you talking trash about Jaden Animations or Odd Ones Out, I'm sorry, we're gonna put you in the pressure cooker, man. We are going to turn you into little flesh giblets. You are going the meat grinder, a wood chipper. If you're talking about Luna, Austin FFA, my we are also going to have a problem. That is the GOAT. If you're talking about people who tell anecdotes of their own life when talking about wider issues, then we're also going to have a problem, because that's me, and I'm going to cry if you are mean to me. This is the thing. Being overly broad casts too wide of a net on too many different things that you're creating like subsets of bigotry types in the larger umbrella. That's something we have to try and avoid. I want to give you an example of how I think this can be done right. Somebody who really honed in on a specific thing they take some gumption with. We had Sammy over here who has an anti-burger stance. Not other meat, just burger. Trying to explain bigotry to an American. Okay, now imagine a burger. It's obviously not a stance I agree with. I love me a good burger. I think there are certainly better burgers than others, and I would be totally fine with hating on dry patties and shit. But I'm sorry, man, if you got like a nice medium rare juicy bison burger with an egg in the middle and some cheddar jack cheese on top, like, I'm sorry, but that like might as well be a gift directly from God. The thing is, this person's bigotry is not contingent on my agreement with it. It's about having clear-cut, defined rules. They are singling out a group within a wider umbrella that they hate specifically. Meat being the umbrella genre, burger being the thing that they think is unholy. The formation of a sandwich in between two buns with like a burger patty, specifically that's popular in America, that is the issue of the day they are trying to hone in on, and I can respect the good work they did trying to make that very clear. Now, this guy has a new one that I just have never heard of. This dude might be one of the best in the field right now. Thought of this thing called racism the other day. I know that NASCAR or Formula 1 isn't for everybody, something, it's just watching people go in circles, but to have it formalized as a recognized type of bigotry where people who are NASCAR fans become a protected class, I think it's giving name to something that a lot of people have identified as something they feel, but haven't been able to put into so many words, which is the type of thing we're looking for here today. The thing with bigotry, if you want it to catch on, is it has to have some kind of commonality between a bunch of different type of people that can identify that as like, yeah, I do agree, I do dislike that subset of individuals. And in the same way that some people actively hate the concept of combat sports, either because they just detest violence and are a pacifist, or because they are homophobic, an existing type of bigotry, and think that two sweaty dudes grappling up on each other, as every single person who's watched a UFC fight for the first time is going to say to the person who introduced it to them. Having a name for that for people who just really do not like watching cars go fast or horse races, now that's real racism. That said, when you have your own biases against like a group of people like this, you have bigotry and are prejudiced in this way, you open yourself up to similar attacks from either people who are supposed to be your constituents, people who agree with you, or also the other side calling you out for being a hypocrite. Tell me, to anybody who considers themselves a racist because they don't like NASCAR specifically, what about horse race tests? What now? I know you like those gay little lesbian horses. I know you do. And many would argue that's much less exciting. The same horse wins every time, jovial merriment until it died. But now you want to say that all racing is bad? You're not even a real racist, man. Now, this is one of my personal favorites that I saw in the comments. Smoke? Okay, no, she's not there. I'm just hallucinating. Discrimination based off what's in someone's will. All the wealth you have collected throughout your lifetime that you want to pass down to your descendants or whoever it may be in the form of generational wealth, we are going to judge you very, very harshly based off of that. Discrimination based off what's in someone's will is a series of choices that led to a person having what they have to pass down. And when framed like that, it becomes less something to hate somebody for and more something to judge them by as a metric. Judging people by the content of their character instead of the things they can't control, that is textbook anti-bigotry. We can't be having that, man. Sure, you can discriminate based off of it, but you're discriminating based off of tangible things that somebody had and decided in their life. Something like this is entirely different than what the discussion about today is. One that I am willing to follow up on if you guys take some interest in it, but it just goes far beyond the scope of the video essay and intellectual discussion we're having today. I haven't come up with it yet, but I'm thinking of making a slur for people who make a cashier's job as hard as possible for no reason. Now, this is a good one, because the thing with people who do this sort of thing, they're probably not going to change in their lifetime and suddenly become a lot nicer to service workers. And I like that Dave Miller over here is taking the initiative, but I think we're also getting ahead of ourselves in that way. Right now, we are trying to lay down the forms of bigotry we want to formulate wider ideologies around. Thinking of a slur for these groups of people is a different video title that I want to milk, so we're not there yet. You'll see later in this video, some people were suggesting existing but more obscure forms of bigotry that have nascent baby slurs already built up, and we'll get to those and see how we can expand on them in the future, but I think if we're trying to establish whole new forms of prejudice, then we need to lay the groundwork so we're not tripping over ourselves down the line. Okay, I don't like where this one's going. Bigotry against people who wear masks? Or maybe sunglasses? Are you just talking about the protesters in LA right now? Are you a Fed? I know that like new forms of discrimination to suck on the teat of are like really big for the government. They love that shit. But you're being a little on the nose right now. And by the way, this is not me wearing something. This is just what I look like. This mask, it doesn't come off. These glasses are not glasses at all. They are my eyes. And in that way, you actually are performing bigotry in its like most base and pure form, discriminating against people for things outside of their control, their immutable characteristics, which all of these are in regards to me. Okay, you know what? I think the CIA is getting a little too into fandom spaces to know exactly how to make that combination of words, but I still believe it's authentic. You're on track in that way, but I'm the host of this show, so no. Vetoing this one. Oh, I like this one because it's a lot less about discriminating against a specific group of people. It's more about how no matter what type of bigotry you practice, you know, what to each their own. Freedom of religion's a thing, man. Why not freedom of hatred? Actually, I guess that's kind of woven into the fabric of America. Ignore everything I said in the last like 10 seconds or so. But Smallotry instead of bigotry. Microdoses for on the go. This is the type of groundwork I'm saying we need to lay down. We're looking at the absolute basest aspects of all of these things. The forms that our prejudice takes shape in have a lot more options than I think we were really thinking about before this person mentioned this. Like, why do we have to go big with all of this? This is why I stopped being a bigot, man. Too many sweats. I need to go back to casual racism. Hating NASCAR fans passively, but not vocalizing it very much unless it's brought up to me first by somebody who clearly shares that opinion. Microdoses of bigotry for on the go. Smallotry. I like the way you think, Mr. Quarth. You're a smart guy. Now, this one's just a little unoriginal because not only is it an existing form of bigotry, it's an existing form of fictional bigotry that this guy is trying to co-opt and saying, ooh, it's new, I'm coming up with something fresh. I like hating on any mutie I see in comics. Okay, bud, you and the rest of Marvel Circle jerk. You didn't come up with that. That's not a new form of bigotry. That's one that's existed for like at least the last half century, man. Since the creation of the X-Men, that's been a thing. You have no originality, and I want you guys to boo and laugh at this guy for how terribly they misunderstood the prompt. Why even pop out of your shell to say something like this, man? It's just embarrassing. Discrimination against hoodies? Okay, that's explicitly about me. I don't approve of that at all. Listen, man, we should only discriminate against the groups that I dislike. I don't like when my same behavior is reflected back onto me and then I have to suffer the consequences of the same type of behavior I was doing to other people. Knock it off! Biphobia? Again, you're just saying some shit that already exists. We're in Pride Month. This is the most active time of the year that this shit crops up. Straight people think you're secretly gay, and gay people think you're secretly straight, and when, God forbid, you're a secret third thing, they decide that it's evil and evil. I said evil twice because I couldn't think of another adjective that described it. I won't lie, as someone who is bisexual, a little bit of biphobia between friends and in the right crowds who understand the context of your joking can be fun, but some of y'all are like fucking weird about it. I'm dropping character for a second to give you a lecture, a sermon on the mount, if you will. Be nice to your bisexual friends. I know they're not exactly like you, whether you're gay or straight. That's kind of the point of it being a big umbrella. Umbrella corporation. Ooh, I like this one because we are really getting down to the genetic aspect of this all now. Real classic, like early 20th century race science racism, man. Like, we're getting into the territory of shit that if you said this about people around like average suburban moms, even they would have enough background knowledge to look at you sideways like, huh? What do you mean by that? Milk! Fuck the lactose intolerant. I like the idea of hating lactose intolerant people because I'm pretty sure they hate themselves. Like, they don't even pay attention to their body saying they're lactose intolerant. They developed pills or just like deal with the shits they'll have to come later because they want a little bit of cheese. And that's something I can respect. In fact, I think they're almost like more respectable in how they consume dairy than we are because they have something to lose by doing it and decide, nah, fuck it, love of the game. The way the cubicle guy is phrasing it, though, I just don't think is very clear in its messaging. Like, you're saying we should be bigoted against milk specifically, but then you follow it up with fuck the lactose intolerant, which is what I imagine you meant that to mean. I don't know, man. If you're gonna be an effective propagandist and just overall bigot piece of shit, you really gotta work on your messaging. Racists back in the day had this shit down pat. When they were talking about Asians like me, they had their stereotypes on lock. They made up bullshit about like why Chinese Asian allies are actually different than Japanese imperial enemies, even though it was like a load of horseshit that the layman in America was not at all going to be able to do, hence why every type of Asian, whether they were allied with us or not, got rounded up and put into internment camps by FDR. An otherwise great president who unfortunately existed in the 40s. Oh man, we're getting back to the really like umbrella term shit. Like, this is even worse than Midas saying Storytime YouTubers. At least he like narrowed in on a specific set of YouTubers as a whole. Can we be more bigoted against YouTubers, perhaps? I don't think you guys are slacking in that department. You absolutely are not inventing a new form of bigotry here, and we are innovators. We are idea guys. Stop taking off like an old desecrated corpse and then dusting it off and telling me that it's your newborn baby. Discrimination against YouTubers is alive and well, I can tell you that right now. I'm not saying it's undeserved as one of those. One of the good ones, I hope. But don't try to pass this off as some original shit. Fucking Dice K profile picture in the year of our Lord 2025. God damn, man. What I will give this guy credit for is sending in a few, trying to see what stuck. Like, this is how you improve at the craft. Some of them are going to be a little more compelling than others. And I think they did actually have a zinger with the second one that a lot of people, including the people we are saying we are discriminating against, might see a lot of value in. Maybe we should discriminate against people who own those little white dogs who don't clean their nasty eyes. I will say that big white dog with crusty eye super packs have been doing a great job of rehabilitating the image. Seeing Crypto in the new Superman trailer, which is literally just James Gunn's dog, who is a white little crusty-eyed piece of shit, is playing Crypto, and I think it actually looks pretty sick. And it shows you the potential in these types of dogs if they would just fucking clean their eyes, man. It's disgusting. Every animal has this, man. It's like your responsibility as a pet owner, but you also decided to get a dog with a very bright snow white coat. So the eye boogers are gonna show up a lot more than my gunmetal gray cat Smokewood. I still have to clean that shit off. It's not like I don't do my responsibility as a pet owner, but it's very noticeable when you guys don't. Oh, we have a second post here. I think this one might be the winner of the whole video. Completely unrelated to each other suggested it. Anyone who owns a crusty white dog, they can't be trusted and must be eradicated from this earth. And this is actually where I'd like to make the delineation between the two types of bigotry. I personally am not a hater of crusty little white dogs. They didn't ask to be like that. They didn't ask to be bred into existence and be given a miserable life full of people hating them for who they are. You know who did make a choice, though? The people who decided to own one. There's ways to make sure them shits is clean and their fur is not matted and their eyes don't look like they have coal on them. But you don't do it. So what do you expect from me? Courtesy? No. I'm getting back to the MLK aspect of it all. I am once again a civil rights warrior. I am judging you through your actions and the content of your character. Clean your fucking dog! I always knew it was gonna come to this. We're getting meta now. Hear me out. Phobophobia. Turn the bigotry onto the bigots. Well, who was it? Was Umberto Eco or paradox of tolerance is the thing I'm thinking of. If you guys don't know, the paradox of tolerance kind of comes down to that in a society where like everybody is able to say whatever they want, including spewing like really hateful shit at other groups of people. If you allow the speech that is actively hostile to minority groups like racial minorities, stuff like that, if you allow the language to propagate freely in the name of tolerating all opinions, then you create an actively hostile space for the people that are being talked down on to a point where they no longer are able to speak in equal footing in that public sector. Hence, a paradox. You have to be intolerant of intolerance. Or, I don't know, just eat some fucking milk like everybody else. Dickers TV over here had a pretty, active in what seems to be personally motivated one. Oh, did I time out on Sonic Speed Sim? No! Discriminate against Roblox devs who decided that I should have to check in every 15 minutes if I want to get my steps up on Sonic Speed Simulator. Long pussy lips, he says. Have you guys ever, like, had sex with a woman whose pussy lips or clitoris were longer than your own dick? Because I have seen that. I just never had sex with her because I am not losing my virginity. I love that shit too much. Oh, this is a good one. It actually ties back to my B&B story from this weekend. In the living room, there was a fan that had 3 light bulbs in it, as fans tend to have a lot of the time. And it was really pissing me off that 2 of the light bulbs were a very fluorescent LED white, which is a tone I'm totally fine with. I don't care if it looks sterile and makes you very scared to be in an environment or like the government has kidnapped you, whatever. What really pissed me off was that there was a third odd one out light bulb that was orange. Get that shit out of my face! Get it out! It just looked sickly and sad next to the other 2 that were shining bright. You could tell it was like the last of its kind too. The other 2 white bulbs probably were yellow before they got swapped out, and this was the last of a dying breed on its way out. Truly a tragedy spotted in the wild. Now, last one, let me pull up a good one. We should discriminate against people with a different eye color? Oh my god, again with the unoriginality, man. This is like some of the most classic shit. People having a different eye color than you has been like a tale as old as time. Does the superior Aryan race of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man not sound familiar to you? Does it not ring a bell? In fact, discrimination against people with a different eye color is literally one of the most effective ways people have found to teach kids about how bigotry affects people and socioeconomic outcomes. On the day after Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered in April 1968, Jane Elliott's 3rd graders from the small, all-white town of Riceville, Iowa, came to class confused and upset. Basically, Jane Elliott decided to run a little social experiment in the elementary school, dividing the class by eye color, those with blue eyes and those with brown. On the first day, blue-eyed children were told they were the smarter, nicer, neater, and better ones than with brown eyes. The brown-eyed kids were made to be in like a lower social class position. They had to wear collars around their neck. They were like told they were pieces of shit. The next day, the roles were reversed, and the outcome could be seen as pretty much the same on both sides when subjected to the same behavior. The people who were being told they were like of the lesser class were performing worse on tests. They had lower outcomes and grades because the social factors that were boring down and working against them affected their own self-image and ability to self-actualize. You can have an argument about the ethics of doing this to like a group of elementary schoolers, but I'm sure as hell that lesson stuck with everybody it happened to. I wanted to end on that because we've been having a lot of like kind of pseudo fun with like new forms of bigotry, but if you want to look into Jane Elliott, she's a very interesting figure and like has done a lot of like important work in illustrating how discrimination works on a societal level through microcosms of it. Anyways, that's all I got. That card should be on screen now. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications on. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and I'll see y'all next time.